out to the DLTs that the SLTs that you're supporting. And so we'll spend some time talking about that. I went over the DLT update sheet. So if anything has changed about your information that you want us to know, please fill that out and send that to Janet Ayala Capo. She's her contact information is included in here, but it's also, she is on the distribution list for the email that I sent on Friday. When Lewis comes back on, I'm going to have him, or Lewis, are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, was it anything that I needed to talk to her about?
No, we're okay. Mike handled. She was on Mike when I called her.
Okay, so so Lewis will put up the minutes momentarily. That's also included is a list of all school secretaries by school. There is a list of all the core curriculum choices by school. There is a document of SLT activities that Gus will be going over with us. There is all the DLT meeting dates that, Lewis, did you add them to everyone's calendars or no?
Yeah.
Okay. But all the DLT meeting dates, just to note that next month, Tuesday, October 13th is our meeting.
And the meeting I scheduled for the whole school year is a recurring Teams meeting. So the same Teams link will be for every meeting. Make it easier also to join the meeting.
We've also included all of our CEC meeting dates. We have included, okay, once again, school secretaries with email addresses, the list of our Title I schools. Now, Janet, was this updated?
Which one?
The list of Title I schools.
Yes, that's the last update.
Okay, because PS 32 is not a Title I school anymore, so that would have to be changed.
Okay.
And Joe, I'm not sure about the high school. So, I'm thinking, you know what? Janet, send this to Elaine's secretary and see if she can get that information for us.
Okay.
Danielle, all of the Title I schools citywide are in the SAM 8 with the allocations. That comes out every year and tells you which ones are Title I, which ones are not, and what kind of Title I they have.
Okay. So.
And it's publicly accessible.
Okay. All right, so Janet, following this meeting, just double check the SAM 8. You can look that up.
Okay.
Lewis, do you have, Gus, do you have the link to it or no?
I don't have a link, but it's on the, the portal, the DOE website that has to do with the fiscal stuff. After the meeting, if you'd like me to send you a link, I can look it up, copy the link and send it to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And we talked about, there's the list of DLT team members and that Joe has to go on there. Joe, you'll send Janet your update contact information.
Yep.
And we have CEC members contact information and emails in here. There is also a list of our elementary schools with addresses and contact information. There is a list of assistant principals and guidance counselors by school. There is a list of high school information, contact information. There's Gus's PowerPoint. There is a list. Okay. That's DLT again. That's all our contact information. Okay. There are the principal list, assistant principal email addresses. Let's see what else. Guidance counselors. And okay. And the assigned partner schools to support school leadership teams. So I want to spend some time following Gus's presentation, just going over that to make sure that we are all in agreement to continue with our assigned partnership schools. Because one of the things that I'm going to ask us as a DLT to do is really to check in with our SLTs, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as the meeting continues. So right now I'm going to call the meeting to order. I do believe we have quorum. So we have Andre, we have, who's Chastity? Is that a member or a guest? Okay.
I'm a guest.
Okay. There's Christine. There's, oh, Charlene, hi.
Hey, Charlene.
Charlene, I don't know if you were on in the beginning, but I sent the email
Hi,
with,
sorry.
how are you? I sent the email with the update information. There's an update form. If you can just update your email address for us so we can put it in our directories.
It's the same form as the one in the shared folder?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
There's
just-
Mary. Okay. Hi, Dr. Warner. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you. Welcome back to everybody.
Okay, yep. So we definitely have quorum. Okay, so as everyone knows, the meeting is being recorded. Louis, you could do that a little bit slower. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin by approving the minutes. So just for all of our guests here too, to just know that we have a DLT document archive. Wait, Louis, just stop there for go up a little bit. So www.d25.nyc/DLT are all our archive documents that we hand out during our DLT meetings. And we also have our DLT meeting video archive, which is listed here. And our meeting dates for 2020, 2021 are included. Okay, and the rest is just information about our meeting from last month. So go ahead.
Danielle, you have the equivalent of a signature page, don't you?
A sign-in sheet?
Yeah, I mean, we suggested last year that districts use a Survey Monkey where, people's names for every meeting are recorded. The reason for that is if the state asks us to document attendance, sending them a video would be, awkward and difficult, particularly if they want, the entire year. So we asked that a system be put together where we can just list who attended every meeting in some way.
Okay, that'll be ready in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Right.
we could do that. We'll start it today and then, yeah. Gosh, we've been really using the sign-in, but yeah, Louis will put the link in the chat and
We'll
thank
do
you,
it today.
Louis.
We'll go forward, right?
Whatever
Yeah.
works for you that I could send to the state if they ask for it. That's
Okay.
the only
Yep,
reason why I
that's
bring
fine.
it.
That's fine. All right, so we will, what do you call it? We'll have that ready and we're just gonna ask that everyone that's on the call to sign in.
Correct.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
What does that mean, Christine?
Oh, you need that corrected for, in certain thing, Christine?
What does it say Deepak?
Oh, that's her sign-in signature. She's the DPAC rep.
Okay.
Yeah, she wants to make sure that that's included.
You're gonna fill that all in on the sign-in sheet. I'm not. It's gonna be a very simple form.
Yeah, you just put your name and who
And
you
your
are.
time. Yeah.
Yep. Louis, can you mute everyone? I saw your email.
Yeah.
And then everyone can unmute when they want to speak.
I can't scroll at the same time.
Okay, any questions or concerns with the minutes? If not, I ask for a motion to approve.
I move to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. And second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so Charlene Dawson approved and Joe DiBenedetto second. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Louis, can you just put up the agenda?
Yes, I can.
Thank you, sir.
Agenda.
I know it's a lot. Okay.
You guys see that?
Yep. Okay, so Dr. Mike, do you mind if I allow Gus to go first?
Yeah, fine, whatever you want to do.
Okay, yep, and then I figure because it would really be a good introduction for how we should start the year as a DLT. But before we do that, just for our guests in the meeting, I do want to introduce members of our district leadership team. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Danielle Domingo, the District 25 Community Superintendent. We have Andre Bullock. Andre is our DC 37 Union Representative. Lamar Hughes will be arriving late. He just texted me. He is our UFT Community District 25 Union Representative. We have Laura Kusavalis. She's not on today. She represents D25 President's Council. And we have Joseph DiBenedetto. He is the president of our Community Education Council. We have Dr. Mary McDonald. She is our CSA union representative. She's on today. We have Christine Caniglio. She is a parent and our DPAC rep. We have Dr. Janine Warner. She is a principal of D25 Queens High School representing Superintendent Elaine Lindsay. We have Joseph Zingone, and he is our UFT Queens High School representative on our DLT. And we have Charlene Dawson, and she is our Queens High School President's Council Title I representative. So welcome back, everyone. I know that we've seen each other all summer, but this is our first DLT meeting for the 2020-2021 school year. And what a year it will be. So we are in unprecedented times. And like I said, one of the things that I truly enjoy about our work is that we have a history of working together, and our collective knowledge helps us to support our schools. So I'm looking forward to this work that we will continue to do together this year. That being said, I would want to introduce Gus Hazadimitriou. He is no longer a Sedil. Gus, don't you have a new name?
Right, I have a new title. So let me begin with that. I guess you can see me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's for me, it's like Back to the Future, like that movie. I've now got sort of my old title back from when we were regions. So now I'm a director. I think this is the title, Director of State and Federal Education Policy Implementation. So I'm a director again. So it's on my signature, my email signature, and there's a new acronym, DFIP, I think is so something like that. that goes along with it. I have also administratively now I'm part of the BCO, not the Deputy Chancellor's office. A small group of the old office stayed with Central, and the rest of us were migrated to the borough centers. And for me, again, this is not much of a change because I've been close to all of you and working with the borough center before it was the borough center, all the way back to when regions were created. So for me, there's more continuity than probably everybody else in the office. And I work with the same districts that I've been working with for over 20 years. So that's the administrative change. What it means is that, like in the past, and I sort of behaved like this anyway, I really am concerned with anything that relates to state and education policy, mandates, compliance, etc. So anything that comes up that's related to that is my bailiwick. As in the past, and Danielle has been with me a long time, she knows if she gets a letter from the state, run it to me, and what I'll do is I'll track it down and help you deal with it. And the same goes for any school. So I will also continue to support SLTs and the CEP development and review process. So that hasn't changed at all. And as you know, every principal and SLT, sometimes SLT members email me 24/7 about issues. The other change is that my colleague, Matt Zvillick, who many of you know, has now migrated to be the head of iPlan. So he's exclusively now connected to the technology support. Louise Dente is taking over Queens South. Louise and I worked together for many years. She's again a senior Cedill. I think she's the second oldest in terms of years in the position next to me. So, you know, we can continue to collaborate to the extent that we're enabled to with, you know, Queens. I've always emphasized how proud I am of the fact that our borough is always the first or almost the very first or the second or the third in meeting all of the mandates from Central. So we'll continue to do that. If we get audited in any way, as we have in the past, folks, again, I'll prepare the schools and I will support the principals and the schools in terms of any Title I or other federal and state audits. So that's a change. It's a change of title, not very much of a change of function for me. So anything related to state and federal is my area, and hopefully we won't increase the number of improvement schools. Right now we only have 2, and I'm hoping we don't get any more. But you know, the TSI list is annual, so I expect that we might get a TSI school going forward. What I don't want to see is any CSI schools, because again, I'm proud of the fact that we have no CSI schools in Queens North. Okay, so any questions on that? You can tell me, as we do every year. We begin by talking about the DLT and SLT activities calendars. Louis, do you want to get them up? Danielle makes everything so easy for me, so I don't have to search for them.
Yeah, computer. You know what, before you put that up, can you just put up the assigned partner schools? Because I just want to go over that, because I think right. Before Gus goes over some of the suggested activities, I want to spend some time just making sure we're all in agreement about the support school leadership, our supports for our school leadership teams. Because one of the things that I think is really important for us to talk about is and I know that we talked about it last year, but I'm going to say now more than ever, I want our SLTs to see us as a support for them. They're going to have a lot of questions. They're being asked to make a lot of decisions about schools, and that's a good thing, right? But we want to make sure that they are understanding the policies and protocols, that they're in a good place around the decisions that they're making about some of the changes that are happening in schools. So for example, we do know that over the summer that our SLTs were really involved in selecting a model, right? As we had talked about at our last meeting, where a principal has always been control of the program, but now we had to talk about redefining what school is going to look like, right? So we just want to check in with our DLTs, and that's why I gave you all of the directory information. You can contact anyone at the school and ask to speak to the SLT chairperson, or you can just ask the main office for their SLT meeting dates. You can introduce yourself, say that you want to be coming, you may be popping into some of their meetings, ask them to send you their links. But then also just make yourself a resource. And if you don't know the answer to the question, you can ask us as a collective, as a DLT, or you could always reach out to Gus to get that support. But I want our SLTs to feel that they are supported and that they do understand the constituent groups that represent them on the DLT. So at minimum, I do know that that's what I'm going to be doing with my schools. Just really letting them know that I am their point person. And then at the same time, being able to connect them to whoever they need to be connected with in terms of any kind of questions or concerns they have.
Danielle, what's the name of the file that you want to share?
It says 2020-21 D25 elementary and middle schools. You'll see it. It's towards the end, but that's where it comes up. Elementary and middle school assigned partner schools.
Okay, hold on.
See if you can find that. I could forward it to you. Let me see.
No, I have all the attachments. It's just I wasn't.
It's towards the end. I mean, I know there are a lot of attachments to that email that I sent to everyone. It is. If you look in, it's actually one of the last emails on the far right.
Contacts.
It says D25. It's 130 gigabytes. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah,
Danielle and Lewis, you also.
Yeah, you want the assigned schools? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I'll open it.
I don't see it at all.
Yeah.
DLT Elementary, it's called.
It's D25. It says. Well, Mike has it. All right, so these were the same schools that we picked last year. But everyone that's here today, if you could just look through and make sure that these are the same schools that you wanted to keep. So as you see, can you just go up again, Mike, for a second? So this document has the principal's name and the SLT chairperson's name. All right, any objections to keeping everyone the same? All right, so between now and our next meeting, what I am going to suggest, and it is an ask, that we all do this for consistency, that we all reach out to our SLTs in whatever way that we want to, depending upon the layers of support that you're going to put in place. And then just let them know who you are, what your contact information is, ask them for links to join the meetings. So any questions in regards to that?
And two of the documents that are in the database are relevant to that work. One is the SLT actions or suggested activities, and there's suggested activities. So if the SLT is not sure, they're new, or there's a new principal or whatever, and they need to know, well, what are some of the things that we should have on our agenda? That document was designed to meet that need. And the other thing that I believe I sent and is in the is a PowerPoint on conducting remote meetings. So I believe most of the schools, if not all of them, are holding remote meetings. So there's a document there that takes you through how to hold a remote SLT meeting.
All right, so which one do you want up first, Gus?
Just the DLT one. I'm not going to go through it because they're rather long. What we do is we start off every year with them, and most of you who have been on the DLT before have seen them. What we do is we update them a little bit, but the structure is pretty much the same. Louis, do you want to throw one up there?
Sure. Give me 1 second, please.
Sure.
What am I throwing up?
Yeah, either one is fine. The structure is similar.
Either the DLT activity list or the SLT activity list.
Yeah. Just, for people who might be new, so they know what to look for. Although they are marked with headings on each one.
So it's not the activity calendar.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I don't see the PowerPoint you're talking about, Gus.
No, he's gonna put it up right now.
Oh, I thought he was putting it in the shared folder.
It is in the shared bulletin.
It's
I
in
remember
shared
seeing it
folder.
as I was going. It is in the shared bulletin somewhere. There are a lot of documents. I have to tell you, your database for this meeting is the most elaborate that I've ever seen. Okay, so here's the suggested activities for the DLT, and the one that is for SLTs is similar. I think that one is in blue, and this one is in what color is that? Orange. It has some information at the top, the key agenda items, and then it's monthly. It gives you an idea every month or the sequence. If you want to scroll down, Louis, a little bit, what DLT should be doing. For example, review CR A65 in order to understand the regulations governing DLTs, like the same regulations governing SLTs, is in A655. So people on these committees, whether it's the SLT or DLT, should be familiar with those items. And we always recommend that both be at every meeting. So, in a remote meeting, they're in the database and people can consult them. So if there are questions about what the configuration should look like, or what the most important work is for the DLT, it's the DCEP, and for the SLT, it's the CEP. So the flow and the information is kind of similar and structured to give the members an idea of what should be on each agenda. And the idea is to help each SLT and DLT come up with its meeting agenda from month to month. Not that everything has to be in exactly the same sequence. For example, one thing that's on the agenda that I'll mention is last academic year, ladies and gentlemen, we were supposed to do the 100.11 plan. And that relates to what I'm talking about. What is the 100.11 plan? That is the plan that every district is supposed to have for helping SLTs that might have some issues. What is the support mechanism and the sequence of support for SLT support and checking on SLT health in every district? And that's a citywide mandate. Now, it's based on two or three things. One of the main things that everybody looks for is there's a survey that's done of SLTs. Now, it's my understanding that the survey last academic year went out, but we didn't get the results. And that's done through FACE. It's not done through our office. You haven't
Louis,
received that?
I mean, Gus, no, that did not go out.
Oh, it didn't go out. Okay.
Did not go out.
So, okay, because I haven't seen any results. So I gather it wasn't done. So it was supposed to be done last academic year. So it will be, it's one of the outstanding issues that I'm sure my office, Sharon Renscher, will push for it to go out this academic year. That way we'll get some feedback on from SLT members by school, and that's all compiled and helps us based on that. And you have a liaison system in District 25. So based on your individual interactions, any issues that are brought to the attention of the district staff and the superintendent and the survey are what helps every district update its 100.11 plan. I was waiting for the update information, but it never came. So what's in the DCP that we put to bed for last academic year is the older plan from 2 years ago that was not updated. So I put a note on top of it that it'll be updated when we get new information. So those are the kinds of things that SLTs and DLTs do. And this activities calendar for SLTs and DLTs outline all of these different things sequentially, and they can be put on each agenda, although they can adjust it as needed. We don't have to look at the other one. I don't think it's very similar, and most of you have been on the DLT before, so you've seen it, you know, from year to year. Any questions on anything that I've said so far, folks?
Nope.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
and so also, Gus, do you want Louis to put up the PowerPoint about engaging DLT and SLTs?
Well, it's just there. Louis, it is there. I believe I saw it when I was going through your documents. So Christine, you didn't see it?
It's in there. It's the
No,
old,
you know what? Can you put it up?
it's a PDF file.
Yeah, what?
It's a PDF file.
Yeah, can you just put it up really quickly? Because the one thing that I want to say is all of the things that we're going over right now are tools that you can use in your conversations with SLTs. So one of the things that we do know are new for our SLTs are having these online meetings. So this is a tool that you can use as a reinforcement of remote DLT and SLT guidance, going over the chancellor's regulation that A655 that manages the work of SLTs as well as us, New York State education law, and all of the guidelines that DLTs and SLTs should be following around running online meetings. And actually, one of the things that Gus talked about this morning is the DLT signature using Google Forms. And for those of you who are here, you'll see that Louis at 9:38 put in a sign-in sheet. We ask that everybody go into the chat and click there and sign the sign-in sheet, please. SLT remote learning guidelines. I think it's important for SLTs to go over this. One of the reasons why is because we worked very hard to elevate leadership roles of all of our constituencies within our SLTs, and we don't want them kind of getting lost within the introduction of these online meeting dates. So we want to make sure that they understand key components of an effective online meeting, what an agenda should look like, their sample agendas, they have rolling agenda key components, suggested roles, creating an online agenda in Google, computer readiness, norms for meetings, action steps. So it's really a good tool. And we are going to be sending this to our principals as well, that they should use this at the start of their meetings in September as a review, talking about how to get everybody on Microsoft Teams. So it is really a clear and comprehensive document and guide for DLTs and SLTs. So this is one of the tools, besides the tool that Gus just showed, that if you wanted to ask to speak, just in terms of showing the supports that we have for our SLTs, you can feel free to use that. Okay. All right, Gus, sorry.
And the regulations A655 are there as well.
Yeah.
So everybody should always have access to that document. I'm told that they're working on updating it, but that's still in process. So the current version is the version that we have to work with. Now, related to all of this is something that came up over the summer that I followed up on. You'll remember Christine at one of our summer meetings brought up the whole issue of training and her in relation to her role as the PAC president of DPAC. And I believe you all have PACs in every school, right, Christine? That's my understanding, is that we have active PACs in every school. Well, I escalated your concern and what you sent me all the way up to Sharon Rencher, and this is what took place. I was sent a PowerPoint for a training that was done in Brooklyn North. Apparently they did a training in Brooklyn North related to Title I. Wasn't PAC specific, but it was Title I specific. Now, what they've done also is they have scheduled a webinar, a citywide webinar that is scheduled for September 29th, this September 29th, between 10 and 11 a.m. in the morning, that everyone can get on in terms of Title I. And they sent me a copy of the Brooklyn presentation, and they told me that I could share it with Christine and the superintendent for you to look at and see whether it meets your needs, because I think the citywide one is going to be similar. Now, I was also given permission to say the following. Christine and District 25, if you want your own presentation, tell me how we can tailor make it and we can do your own presentation. We could also do a Queens North presentation if you feel that you want a Queens North presentation. All I need are the dates and how to amend the core PowerPoint that we have. And as many of you may know, we've done, I personally have done many years worth of Title I presentations for District 25, going back to the day. So it could be a separate training. It could be part of our regular SLT training. What my mandate is to help you meet your needs as best as you feel is appropriate.
So I'm going to throw something out there, and Christine, let me know what you think. So as long as Christine can be on the citywide meeting and she can see if the information that is given at that meeting can kind of support the work that she wants to do with PACs. If not, we would be open to doing a Queens North or a D25, whatever that looks like. I think what Christine is really looking for, because a lot of pushback that she's getting from PACs is around like, what is the work that we're doing? So I think the need would kind of be very similar to what you just put up there for the DLTs and the SLTs. Like, what are the PACs, like, what should they be doing right now? We do know that, you know, Christine was notified, and I think this is what sparked this, where it said, you know, during the selection of the models that PACs should be consulted with, just kind of letting them know what's going on. And I think that elevated Christine to a point of, you know, PACs were new for us, and we haven't really had any kind of training specifically for what PACs should be doing, right? So we do know that they're aligned to Title I. We do know, we have a feeling of the work that they've been doing, but clearly adjusting a model for school opening and saying you have to consult your PAC was a different level of understanding than what Christine was working on with her PACs. So I think she really wants support in building capacity of those PACs at the school level. and having them truly gain an understanding of the work that they do I mean, it's not in isolation, it's a line too, but right now we don't have solid functioning packs that are doing something where you would consult with them on something in the school. And I think that's the work that she wants to engage in this year. Am I wrong, Christine?
No, you're right. Exactly what we spoke about.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's
Okay.
so we'll
Christine
wait.
and Danielle, I also have something else for you.
Okay.
Again, it's like, that old movie Back to the Future. You may or may not remember a person by the name of Andrea Ferguson. Andrea was the Region 3 parent support person for Judy Chin. We ran around working with SLTs, including all over District 25 and in whatever was Region 3 in the past. In this new reorganization, Andrea now is the parent support person citywide for Title I. She's also the MBK person as well. So I gave your name to Andrea, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you her email address. I'll send it to both of you, and she knows District 25 because we used to both work in District 25. It was part of our area. So if there's something that is school specific, or you want to get a group of people together that have a certain need or whatever, her mandate is to help you solve these issues and provide whatever support is needed. So now you have a person, and I consider myself fortunate because it's somebody that I worked with in the past and that knows Queens and knows our district. In fact, whenever she would come to Queens, she would use my office upstairs on the 6th floor at Linden. So, we have an ongoing working relationship. So I will also follow up with that. I'll send you her email, and she already has your name, Christine. So she also is. Have you been involved in the citywide meetings at all? Because no. Okay. If you do get involved in the citywide meetings, she deals with those Title I citywide.
You're talking about DPAC, CPAC?
Yeah. She deals with those as well. So, she'll get to know all of the players, and they'll get to know her in terms of those meetings. So in addition to, webinars.
Does she attend those meetings, Gus? Does she attend those?
I believe she will be attending them. I think those will be evening parent meetings. And I think she was
the DPAC meetings have not really, I don't know, I have gone to a couple of them, but they're not really focusing on what I would consider Title I DPAC issues.
Okay.
But so they're like all over I know it's unprecedented times, but everybody's like all over the place. They're focusing more on what's happening with school opening and what's remote learning going to look like, and like nothing to do with what I feel we're supposed to be talking about. So, I mean, I don't know.
Christine, I'm, those of you who know me for a long time, I'm a people person. So I got you a human being. So we have, other than paper and webinars and stuff like that, I have, a person who, it's my understanding, has the mandate vis-a-vis the Title I and federal and state support office to help at the school and the district level with these kinds of issues, Andrea. So I'm going to put you two together. I thought that you might be at one of those meetings. So over the summer, I gave her your name. And
I do go to those meetings, but I haven't, I do try to attend all of them, but I'm not the representative for District 25.
Okay. So I asked her to look out for you, but
what's her name, Andrea?
Andrea Ferguson. Andrea Ferguson. Ferguson.
Okay.
F-E-R.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send that information. I'll send you her email address and pop her an email and tell her that,
great.
She already knows about the issue. And like I said, I spoke to both Rosanna Politano and Sharon Rencher, as I promised, about it and the need. And,
So,
you know,
yeah,
they
so,
want
and
to.
definitely one of our, our DLT goals is to facilitate and support the improvement of those packs. So, thank you for that. I think, Christine, we have like a starting point for now. So if you can make it into that, that
Yeah, I'm
training
gonna-
and then see what else we would need individually. And now we have some outreach and sources that we can do.
Yeah, I just put the train, there's nothing on that day, so I'm good. I put it on my calendar, so
Okay,
I
good.
can do that
So
training,
that
so.
could be a start, and it'll be announced, I guess. I
All
think
right,
it's
so guys, if you can
discussed.
make sure, because I don't want it to be overlooked, that if you see, and I'll do the same, that if we see the sign-in links, we'll just make sure that Christine and the rest of the DLT gets that.
Great.
Perfect.
Moving on, because I know you have a big agenda. DCEP. Every year we do a new DCEP. I've been telling you all along that I didn't expect the template to change, and it turns out I was wrong. The change is not going to be dramatic, but I think they're taking out those state, what are they, tenants that are in the old one. They're taking out that piece and making it conform as much as possible, Mike, to the school CEPs. So it's I don't think they're going to add much to it, but I have not seen the template. I know that there's a working group now in what remains of our central office that's working on the document, and I don't have it for this meeting, but I hope to have it for September. So hopefully I'll have that for you. And I don't expect, like I said, it to be a dramatic change. So the work that we've been doing all along and the goals that you have should fit in because they conform to the school CEP structure. Segue to the school CEPs. Again, you have the goal sheet. Let me tell you, not all districts citywide have aligned, done the budget and school alignment. You were one of the first districts to complete that task, as you always are, and I'm proud of you. And I know Danielle is going to talk about that. So the first piece, all of our schools are in good standing, except for 2 high schools who had to do snapshots. So the schools, just as a reminder for DLT members, what they had to do was go on iPlan, work with what's called the goal builder, put in their goals. They also had to do stuff having to do with L's, lap documents, and so on. And the L office is dealing with that stuff. But the schools just had to do goals at this point. What I've been told is that the next step is that they're going to do actions related to those goals. And that'll be done in iPlan. And I believe that's what Alice and Matt are working on with the iPlan portal and the iPlan structure to come up with a mechanism for putting in actions related to the goals that have already been approved by our superintendent.
So now, guys,
so,
do you know, I have a quick question because it is actually something I'm going to talk about. So do you know when, I know there was a calendar about like when final CEPs are going to be, that have to be submitted and DCEPs.
Go
Do we have a
public,
date for them?
if I remember the calendar correctly, it was sometime in the end of October, early November. It was a timeline that was issued. Given all of these extraordinary circumstances, as we've seen in the recent past, these timelines keep changing. But what I'll do is I'll make myself a note to revisit the timeline, the CP timeline, and see if it's been changed or updated. And I know I've sent that to you in the past. If you want me to send it to you again, I can send it to you again. So CP timeline, check.
Yep.
Okay. And Christine, email. Okay. Now, the parent engagement policy, we take a look at that every year. I believe we didn't have to update it formally last academic year because it was good for 2 years. All we had to do was look at it. So this year would be a update year in a more formal kind of way. And we've been updating them for the next 2 years. So on our future agenda, October, or wherever you think it belongs, that's where the DLT action, activities come in. Again, it might be the first meeting, might be the second, the third. It's up to the DLT to decide. We need to look at the old one and see what we need to change. Often what needs to change is titles and offices change, and some of the items that you had in there might not be relevant anymore. So we will look at that and change that. So the 100.11 plan I've already talked about, and I believe that exhausts all my items. Yeah, that's all I had on my agenda to talk about, other than to say that on an ongoing basis, as all of you should know, as liaisons to all of the schools, anybody who has any problem with CEP or state and federal stuff, they can just email me, give them my email, give them my telephone number and my BlackBerry. I'm available 24/7, and I will help them solve whatever problem. If it's a technical problem, I will, they should email iPlan support, but also let me know about the problem, because what I'll do is I'll get after Matt and Alice and make sure that we resolve it one way or another. If it's a content or a procedural issue, I will speak to them about it. And now I have Ferguson on board. So if it's a school-based, sometimes people can't agree on certain things. So if they can't agree and they need some training or whatever, then I now have Andrea Ferguson, in addition to myself, who can email the principal and help resolve any issues that may come up on an ongoing basis. So Danielle and Mike, that's about all I have to say. Any questions or concerns? Anything else you want me to follow up on?
No, I think we're good. The one thing that, thank you, Gus, that I wanted to address as Mike is going to pull up his PowerPoint is really about, one of the things that you may see as, supports for SLTs is that right now during their meetings, some of their goals may change, as some of ours may need to change based on the current state of the district, right? So in Mike's presentation, he's going to show a few things. We did say that we wanted to continue our work in around equity and where equity exists in districts, in our district's mission and vision statement, and how we're going to promote that work across our schools. But he's also going to spend some time showing our goals, so we can talk about that too. So I do see, Mike, you have the Pear Deck in the chat, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So if everyone can click the Pear Deck link, I will open it up on my screen too. So if you're having trouble with it for whatever reason, you can access what I'm going to show you right from my screen. So we'll go through a couple of definitions around equity, around educational equity. And I think it's particularly important now, given the climate that we're in, for many of our students in different circumstances coming back to school, whether it's in the building or at home. I do think it's important for us to have these conversations around our district vision mission and where equity fits into it, and if anything within our mission and vision need to be adjusted, so that becomes something from the district-wide lens that we are engaging our schools with the mindset of how are we supporting all of our kids in this very unprecedented time. So I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can follow along with me. Again, the Pear Deck link is in the chat so that you guys can go and move through the presentation yourselves. Okay, so for today, we're going to do an analysis of some equity definitions. We'll go through them one at a time. There are 5 different definitions from those who are experts in the field around equity in education. And what we're going to really do is take a look at them through the lens of our district-wide vision admission. We did start this in July in terms of beginning the conversation, but we didn't really get into looking at the definitions just due to the agenda items that we were working on in July. So we will do a little bit of that work now. As we read through the definitions, if you're following along in Pear Deck, you'll see there's a link here. It'll bring you to all 5 of them on one page. Otherwise, you're going to be able to see them one at a time through this presentation anyhow. As you read, obviously you're not going to underline in the traditional way, but you can underline with, if you're using your own computer and you put it on your own screen, or just take some notes, jotting down some things that for you there are key words or phrases that resonate with you. If there's something that raises a question for you, anything that for you that you feel is really important, I want you to make sure that you note it as we go through these definitions. So the first definition I am going to share with you, it's from Enid Lee, the principle of alternating current practices and perspectives to teach for social transformation and to promote equitable learning outcomes for students for all social groups. Glenn Singleton, equity in education is raising the achievement of all students while narrowing the gaps between the highest and lowest performing students and eliminating the racial predictability and disproportionality of which student groups occupy the highest and lowest achievement categories. Equity, from Dr. Fergus, equity is seeing someone differently in order to treat them fairly. The idea is each individual has unique dynamics of how they have experienced society, and such experiences must be taken into consideration in defining the equitable practice necessary to achieve the desired outcome. For example, if I'm teaching the history of agriculture in the US to students from rural farming community without taking in their experiences would mean not harnessing their knowledge base. Richard Milner, people's beliefs about race informed by areas outlined above shape what they do and do not do in practice. Although race is a central construct used to examine educational outcomes, policies, and practices, the depth and breadth of its applications are limited in public and academic discourse. For instance, people often talk about an achievement gap and disparities between white and Black/brown students. However, race is not treated in any substantive way beyond reporting the data outcomes. And then finally, from Gloria Ladson Billings, I have defined culturally relevant teaching as a pedagogy of opposition, not unlike critical pedagogy, but specifically committed to collective, not merely individual empowerment. Culturally relevant pedagogy rests on 3 criteria of propositions. Students must experience academic success, students must develop and/or maintain cultural competence, and students must develop a critical consciousness through which they challenge the status quo of the current social order. So what I'd like you guys to do is just take a few minutes to reflect on each of those definitions. If you're in the Pear Deck, you can go back and forth between these definitions. I'm going to just set the clock for 5 minutes, just for you to reflect on them and note anything from those definitions that for you raises a question, something that you feel like, you know what, that really is something that I believe is important that we should include in our own work, and then we'll come back together. So what are the similarities across definitions? Which statements do you consider most essential? I've got 5 minutes.
Got a few tabs open, Dr. Mike?
Yeah, a few dozen.
Oh my God.
I think you need to reset that, all right? Chrome uses a lot of resources on the computer.
All right. Our timer is up. Just a couple of things that were noted here, and clearly Lamar just shouted out what his response was on analyzing and understanding equities connected with recognizing achievement gaps, but there should be some emphasis and awareness dedicated to culturally relevant pedagogy. Next one, achievement of all students and achievement gap are discussed in all. Ferguson, this statement is one, I'm not sure who's typing this in, but this is one that I actually really like too. Seeing people differently in order to treat them fairly. I really like that phrase by Dr. Fergus, because it's really about getting to know our kids well. And part of what Danielle and I really believe is important for us, especially now, most importantly now, is this idea of getting to know our kids and what needs that they may have in order to support them, whether it's in school or at home.
And I definitely I agree with Mike. I mean, that's Dr. Fergus's work that he worked with our equity team as well. And I think, right, that's Dr. Fergus, Mike?
Yeah, that was Dr. Fergus. Yeah.
Can you go back to that for a second? Because yeah. I believe that as part of our discussion as a district equity team, we spent a lot of time talking about that, how we have to work together collectively to see people for who they are, both culturally, academically, socioeconomically. And I think that is a place for us to start, just in terms of how we look at the way our schools are structured, the training and expectations of school staff, and how that how we see equity as looking at people's differences as strengths, right? And how we use that to treat everyone fairly. So I like that as well as to be part of our discussion, and we just wanted some feedback from you guys around that, because based on this, what Dr. Mike and I would like to do is kind of craft some sample changes to our mission and vision, and invite you guys to do the same should you feel that you wanted to.
Yeah, so I still see a couple more responses coming in. And connecting to Milner and looking at gaps between subgroups. Something also around that disproportionality piece that we have been working with Dr. Fergus on as well. Which is what we've kind of charged our schools with continuing to think about and look at, particularly as they look at statewide ESSA data. Although this school year obviously a bit different because we didn't take New York State assessments. But the data is revealing when we look at it across years in a historical sense. So it is something that is part of our mindset. And I think as we start this school year, it's got to be something that we're taking into consideration, not only at the district leadership level, but how this now looks at the school leadership level when it comes to what do we know about our.
Yeah, we wanted to take this process and go through this process with you, and then ask our SLTs to go through that same process. Mike, can you just go back to some of the, because I'm wondering, and I know which member talked about the data piece.
This here?
Yeah, the equitable learning, because I'm also very interested in that, just in terms of who wrote that one.
Me.
questions and discussions
Hi,
about
everyone.
high schools. So welcome.
Thank you. I was getting ready to text. We have to jump off real quick. We have another meeting in a little while. So FYI. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone is well.
Hey, Elaine.
Good to see everyone. Are we going now, Danielle?
You are.
Oh, thank you. So first, I just want to say hello to everyone and glad to see everyone is safe. We're in September and just listening to everything that's happening across D25. And I echo the sentiments of my colleague. A lot of the same things a lot of things that are happening in elementary and middle are similar to what's happening across our high schools. I know that, and I'm having some problems with my technology here. So I know that at the last meeting that there was a ask for the models of our school, so I wanted to share that. I'm going to have to forward that to Danielle, and she'll be able to post that. But before I begin, at the last meeting, I didn't have a deputy superintendent, but now I do have a deputy superintendent. I believe she came on the line. She's on, Lenine Gibson. She's still online. So if she can put her camera on, you can meet her. Lenine, I don't see.
We see her. We
Yeah.
see her.
You see her? I can't see her.
I don't see her. Where is she?
I see her.
You see her
I
face?
know, so
I see her face.
Yeah,
She
I
waved
see
at
her.
Now she's like sweating it.
I know.
I see
Hi,
her.
Lenine.
I tell you,
Welcome.
hi everyone. I'm so afraid this morning I might not get on because my computers have been acting up, and I'm like,
Welcome.
oh my goodness, this is not a good day for it not to work properly. Danielle, I just sent you the models. I'm gonna say the models, but I know just to call them out and know it's easy. It's better if someone can see them because you'll have access to them. So Danielle, I just sent them to you. The models for the schools in D25 high schools, and I don't have, there are 12 D25 high schools. I have 7. The other 5 are under those superintendents, so I don't have that information for you, but I will share for the schools that are under my superintendency. So we're starting with 25Q240, which is Veritas. They're using Model 3B. 25Q285 World Journalism, they have an exception because they're a middle and a high school, so they put an exception to do rotating cohorts for a model of 3A, where there would be accessibility for both the middle as well as the high school. So they were granted an exception for that. John Bound, 25Q425, they have an exception for, because of the size, to have a 4 cohort rotation. So they have that model. Flushing, 25Q460 is model 3B. Townsend, 25Q525 is model 3B. And RFK, 25Q670 is model 3A. For the most part, most of our schools are using one of the chancellor models, with the exceptions of the 2 that I just mentioned. We have very few exceptions, and most of them, if they did do an exception, it was mainly a modification to the chancellor's model that was presented. The graduation, I heard Mike, he was speaking with regards to the graduation goals. We are still waiting for August graduation. That data has not come down yet. So once we get that, it will be finalized and we'll have that data for you. We don't have that yet. So I'm still waiting for Felice to submit that to me. He's waiting for something from the state. They haven't submitted that. Once we should have that by the next meeting. We are also going to support our SLTs, just want to be in sync with what Danielle is doing with regards to her SLT and supporting them with the remote guidelines and ensuring that they're able to effectively conduct their SLT meetings across our high schools. We're also, with regards to, Gus also mentioned the school opening plans. We also, and I'm happy to say that all of the high schools were also on time. We also went through 2 sessions of quality assurance. They're all up online. So everything went in for all of D25 high schools as well. So everyone we are very proud of what we did. We really did a lot of quality assurance and made sure that our models were up and were reflective of the work that's happening across our districts. So we are going to also collect our BRT members, but we will collect them across all our schools, and we will share the actual BRTs for our D25 high schools at the next meetings. Everything is changing, a lot of it as we are speaking. So a lot of questions are coming to us. I heard some of the guidelines. She said that every time we ask a question, we're getting guidelines. There's still some questions that some of the principals have that we are, as we are speaking, getting more and more information about. So there's still opening is scheduled for this Wednesday for remote and blended online. Not blended online, but blended in person is scheduled for next week. As of right now, that is still going to happen, and we are still watching to see, as principals, they are still getting requests or while receiving information regarding approvals for accommodations. So some of the programmings and different things are revolving and evolving. So we are working with our principals on that. We are in constant and daily communication with our principals just to support them. Programming should be going out to the teachers as school will begin remote anyway for this Wednesday. So those are some of the updates that we have, and we should have more. We're definitely going to share the Title I training piece and continue to collaborate and with our colleagues, Danielle and Mike. So it's a pleasure to speak with all you guys, and hopefully I'm looking forward to the data that we will be sharing with you regarding graduation rate. This is what we put up. Those are the models.
Yep, I just sent them to everyone.
Yeah.
While you were speaking, Elaine. So you guys should have that in your email right now.
Yeah. So this is what we have. These are the models for D25.
All right.
And I'll also add them to the Google Drive so everyone can.
Right. Those are the 7. There are 5 other schools, but since those are not under my supervision, I don't have those. We would have to reach out. We can reach out to those superintendents and get those and include them. So we'll
perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything pressing? We have like 12 minutes and then we have to go to the next meeting. Any questions that anyone has for us regarding the high schools? If we don't have the answers now, we will certainly have them when we come back to our next meeting. Any questions? I see a hand, but it's a.
No, I don't think Christine put her hand down before, or Joe.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, I'm good.
Charlene has a question.
Charlie. Okay. Hi, Charlie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good. There's been some rumors and chatter going on that since staff has gone back, there were cases reported of COVID-19. Does that affect any of our schools in our high schools in 25? Do you know?
No, I haven't received any correspondence stating that was any of our high schools in D2. Well, actually, none of my high schools, as a matter of fact.
Okay, that's good.
I'm sorry, I just lost. What was Townsend Harris? What model were they doing?
They are 3B.
Which model? Is that?
Oh God, I don't know them by heart. 3B. I don't know them by heart. Which is 3B?
It's 3 cohorts of kids.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have another one, sorry, because I know you have to go. What is the percentage of remote only in our district for our high schools? Do you know?
So based on, and this can change, Charlene, because we have a lot of parents that did not respond to the survey. So because they did not respond, they're automatically considered blended unless they change. So it was basically relatively the same across all districts, all high schools, with the exception there were maybe 2 or 3 outliers where it was practically like 50%, 40, 60 with regards to remote and blended.
Okay.
Okay, and just keep in mind that the blended, that percentage is as high as it is because if you did not respond, you were automatically considered blended.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And will we see you Monday night at high school council?
Absolutely.
Okay, see you then.
Okay. Is that it?
Okay, can you hear
Hear
me?
me?
Okay.
Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to. Oh, God. All right. Yes.
Danielle?
I know, I'm on two devices. I gotta get off. One, hold on. I'll get off.
You fixed it.
Hold on. All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good, sorry. Right. I'm sorry, I'm actually leaving my home to go to the school, so I had to switch to my phone.
Okay.
All right, so any other questions for Elaine?
I did, if you don't mind. Can you hear me?
Yep.
It's Joe. Okay, so there's a lot of discussion regarding the PPE and some rumors that the PPE is defective. What is the truth of that for our district, and what's the status of the PPE in our district? Are we on board?
You're muted, Elaine.
And Danielle's muted too.
Wow, how
No,
did I
are
get
you asking-
muted? Okay. These computers have a mind of their own. Joe, as far as I know, I have not received any correspondence from any of my principals regarding defective PPE materials or equipment. I did see that write up, but I have not received any of that from any of my principals. So if any of that if that is a question or a concern, I will definitely raise that. I haven't received that information. Okay.
Right, and I do know, I mean, Lamar's on the call, that we speak often, and his chapter leaders are meeting with principals and using the checklist to make sure that we have PPE items. Those that we do not, we've been addressing.
Lamar, what's your take on the PPE?
So, hi everybody. Good morning. We've been from our end making sure that our chapter leaders speak to principals and custodians on a routine basis to find out what PPE has been shipped to buildings, and I would say overwhelmingly, quite overwhelmingly, there's plenty of supplies to go around within our schools. There may be a couple items short here and there, but I don't get the impression from our colleagues that there's this, district-wide problem of not having sufficient materials. The one thing that is a concern are the pellets that go with the electrostatic packets. That's a concern, in the sense that there's a couple of schools that haven't received them yet. I do understand that there was a recall from the original set, so I know that those were recalled and that schools are getting more, for lack of a better word, safer, healthier pellets to put in the packets. That's about the only thing that's something to discuss or something that we're keeping an eye out on. But I can, from the conversations with chapter leaders, from the conversations with Danielle, from the conversations with principals, the goods are coming. They're all coming in. They're available. They're available upon request. I don't see any indication of there being an insufficient amount. I don't get that impression at all.
I agree. I've had a couple principals say that they needed more wipes, and they're getting them really quick, like really, really fast. So, it's going well.